Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, and Rovi, and today we're going to be talking about a primitive known as LayerZero.
It's definitely a primitive that's been, proliferating or expanding
And being invested in.
That's pretty much what I mean.
Yeah.
These types of funding rounds wouldn't occur unless there's some serious adoption going on, right?
Yeah.
So this is how I hit our radar. Doesn't have a token yet, but we looked into it, and it's probably solving one of the biggest core problems in the Web3 blockchain space, right?
Yeah, siloing.
And interoperability.
Yeah.
Seems to be like the internet has a lot of different protocols that enable the interoperability to occur.
TCP/IP, HTML.
Yeah. So that's kind of like that's where we're at right now, is like an infrastructure for the Web3. Who's going to create that standard, these different tech models to enable that, right? So this looks like to be a favorite, or slowly becoming one.
Yeah, so this one hit our radar just because it's solving such a large problem and it's extremely important. So they just raised a Series B, $120 million. Some of their investors include Samsung, Christie's, right? The auction house, NFTs platform, OpenSea, Circle, A16Z. So these are the biggest as they come, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So $120 million, no joke. And so let's talk about exactly what they do. So LayerZero is basically a protocol that allows for, it's exactly what it sounds like, is LayerZero. It connects different chains together in a cross-chain messaging platform.
Right. So, right now, what is like the main way for anything to traverse from chain to chain? It's usually through like these bridges.
A bridge. Yeah.
And these things have been proven to be pretty vulnerable.
Yeah.
Not the most reliable.
Axie got compromised, and there's like tons of
Solana,
bridges. Solana,
feels like every week there was like a new breach going on, and there are different bridges that are being built.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not like, that can't be the way, right? That can't be the solution of a mature blockchain ecosystem. So these guys propose something, I guess, a little different as far as how to facilitate, interchain communication.
Yeah, this is important because all this talk about like siloing and like having developers to choose one particular chain to build off of, like it's not a good future, right? And so we need to be able to kind of join all these networks together into a single chain that allows for like an actual market to exist.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of like communities and ecosystems like banning to, one side or another.
Yeah, which is going to improve the user experience as a whole. Yeah. Like to blockchain. Whenever we went to ETH Denver, like Vitalik came on.
Yeah.
And that was like his big thing, like the big hurdle for the next decade. Because I think the previous decade was all about, I guess, building like a semblance of like a beginnings infrastructure, not necessarily targeted towards like real users yet. Yeah. But just to kind of get like all the primitives out. The next decade is going to be focused on improving user experience for, your mom or your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, so they can come in and, utilize all these different types of services and not like,
not struggle. Like, why do we still have to use like Ethereum addresses, right?
There's that, yeah.
It's like, obviously we're using public and private keys, but do we really need to show that on the front end? Like,
yeah. Like,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, do we need to connect to all these different networks individually and then port over to them whenever we want to move things around? Like, this is all very complicated, you know, that the average human does not want to be burdened with, We're used to services, financial services, like that are just so seamless and so intuitive, right? It's just open bank account, push a couple buttons and money's on the way, stuff like this.
Yeah, this is why exchanges like Coinbase and Binance, they're so huge because they're a little bit more intuitive, right? You have any token, you can turn Bitcoin into any Ethereum. Yeah. Right on the exchange, right? But you can't do that in a decentralized way.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we had a conversation too with Andreas a long time ago.
Early days.
And he pretty much predicted this. And this is before a lot of this even existed, right? Yeah. This infrastructure, but he's like, blockchain is going to emerge into, what is it? One network, many chains? Yeah. And in order for that to happen, it has to be a model like this. That's why we kind of really appreciated Polkadot and Cosmos.
Cosmos, yeah.
It seemed like they were building like in the right steps to fulfill that prophecy.
Yeah. Yeah, and there might be competing protocols, right? We just don't know who's going to be the winner, and that's why we're talking about these guys, because now with $120 million, they become a formidable competitor to Polkadot and Cosmos and those types of technologies.
Yeah.
So they talk about here how it's not specific to any one industry like gaming or DeFi. It's just a messaging protocol. And the whole idea is that dApps would take advantage of it. And specifically, if you're creating a liquidity pool, like let's say you wanted to tap into the liquidity of Ethereum, but also the community of Solana, you can tap into both ecosystems. You create a dApp, and all of a sudden you have an ability to inject a token from one chain and inject a token from another chain, and you have a swapping protocol right there.
Yeah, see, that's the golden goose right there.
Yeah, it is.
It's bridging all the different liquidities, because it's kind of weird how Web3 has manifested into these little tribalistic pockets of like different user bases, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not entirely clear what it is that attracts people to certain chains. I think a lot of it's just, liquidity hopping around to whatever is trending at the moment. Like, one month Avalanche is just, for whatever reason, their ecosystem's popping off. So maybe the APYs are higher. Yeah. There's more liquidity in the NFT market. So that's where the liquidity, it kind of like travels around, right?
Yeah.
But in this future, you don't have to do that anymore, right? Everything's going to be kind of sharing.
Hopefully, but it's going to take like projects like, here we are, Stargate Finance. And so I clicked on the farming, and you can start farming tokens based on the like stable coins, something called Frax. But
it's another stable coin.
Let me go back to the homepage, and they're talking about the omnichain future. So they're leveraging LayerZero, and they provide that functionality of different pools. So let's take a look. So pool, they have different USDCs, USDT. So a lot of it is like stable coin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the links will be in the description.
But this is an example of what is enabled by building on top of LayerZero.
Correct.
You can build an omni servicing platform, right? Basically, that's what this is.
Yeah, dude, check that out. So on April 8th, about a year ago, exactly, $4 billion total value locked.
Was that like during the?
That was sort of around the. Well, actually, that's when everything was like coming down.
Yeah,
so.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Stargate. So there's been a little bit of a drop off, I guess.
Yeah.
For now, what is this? Transactions are way up.
Transactions have significantly increased.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. So this is definitely something to keep an eye on, without a doubt. Stargate Finance.
Yeah, and look at this: BTCB to BTCB from Arbitrum to Avalanche. Polygon to Arbitrum.
There you go, dude. So these are the transfers that are happening in real time, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So this is it. This is the
omni-chain future.
The interchain communication layer. There you go, dude. That's why LayerZero got all that money for this. And that's another thing to consider is there like an airdrop potential or token release potential?
Right.
Most likely, yes. Nothing's been said, nothing's been advertised, but there's been a lot of like precedent going on in the Web3 space. Big token drops from Arbitrum. Everybody's anticipating ZK Sync to be next.
Yeah.
So this is not a bad idea to start doing exactly what you're doing, finding all the different apps that are leveraging LayerZero.
That's right.
And interacting. Connect your wallet, port some funds using the bridges and stuff like that. What do you got to lose? I mean, other than
the actual money you're using.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah.
In case these are exploited at some point in the future.
Yeah, so be careful, right? Yeah. So whenever you're dabbling in these types of dApps, spin up a new wallet, send a few dollars to it, and that's the wallet that you connect to these dApps. If you lose it, no big deal, but if you get an airdrop, good for you.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Just the airdrop potential of it. Definitely not confirmed, but nonetheless, it's still cool to see, be able to participate in a platform like this and see it, the utility that LayerZero is bringing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and Stargate is just one example, right? I just clicked on one of the examples that I think a tweet was talking about. And so yeah, this is it. It's the link will be in the description. So yeah, I mean, this is just one of the few that are using LayerZero, but there's quite a few out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the qualifications for these airdrops, typically they vary quite a bit. It's kind of hard nowadays to pinpoint. Uniswap probably did like the most basic of airdrops. It was just
If you swapped anything on Uniswap with an ETH address, you got an airdrop.
yeah, which is like okay, very nice,
Yeah.
very clean and cut. But like others like Arbitrum had way more different.
Yeah.
They had like different tiers of qualifications, which makes sense. You know, you want to reward your early participants.
Yeah, and the ones that participate the most.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. LayerZero. We're gonna have to do deep dives into all of these individual dApps that are emerging, just like we do to any like ZK Layer 2.
Yeah.
You know, like ZK Sync. There's new projects emerging from that ecosystem. Polygon's ZK EVM that's just rolling out. I think it's gonna take like a 6-month process for it to be like really honed in.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you're gonna see a lot more projects integrating, and you know. This is another one, dude. Now we're not just talking about layer 2s anymore. Now we got LayerZero.
Yeah.
A whole new layer is just
you could argue this is the single most important layer. Whichever LayerZero wins, I mean, you're going to start seeing like a lot more activity in crypto altogether just because it becomes a lot easier, a lot more intuitive.
Yeah.
And what people are expecting. Because right now, these silos, they're off-putting. And then
absolutely,
how do you just onboard people into like, you know, join this network and join that network? It's not going to work.
Yeah, and then you see people just like hopping around, like the NFT, the top NFT projects on Solana just transferred over to Polygon, like stuff like this. Like that's not a sustainable future, I think, for the Web3 space.
Yeah, I totally
Everything
agree.
does need, like the infrastructure needs to come about, which it is. We're still in that infrastructure era, you know, and that's why it's kind of difficult to label a killer product yet.
Yeah, that's good that you mentioned Andreas Antonopoulos. So we interviewed him like in early 2020, right before COVID, and he was saying multi-chain or one network multi-chain stuff.
Yeah,
and he also mentioned how a lot of these like single network projects are in like the infancy stages, and he mentioned how like we're in the early 90s of crypto.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, okay, so with crypto being in the early 90s and the fact that the reference point is the progression of the internet and we already have 30 years of the internet, I feel like the progress of crypto should be significantly faster. So I assumed that we'd be like in the early 2000s after about a cycle, but we're definitely not.
Early 2000s.
We're still in the 90s. Early 2000s is like when we got apps popping off, you know, billion-dollar companies like showing up and like flexing, but I don't think we're there yet. Even though we have billion-dollar projects, I don't think we're seeing like millions of users in any of these projects.
Yeah, that's the thing, really. I mean, there's millions of users probably like in DeFi, just, you know,
every now and then
things around.
Yeah,
but I agree. There's nothing like really attracting a mainstream user base yet, like where it becomes
an AI would, like an AI is.
Correct. Yeah, like a killer product, like we're saying, I think won't come about for a few reasons. Again, the UX has to be improved.
That's right.
Tremendously. All these infrastructure, because it's for developers to pick and choose, like which silo should I build in. It's a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
So all the interconnectedness, the web of Web3 needs to be present, right?
Right.
So this is a big deal. LayerZero contributing this. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the big defining moment in Web3. Like, everything at some point will be built on top of LayerZero's protocol. Yeah. It's possible. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I think the first mover advantage, like I feel like you could be, you know, kind of handicapped being the first mover advantage just because you might not get the tech right for what's needed by the market.
Yeah. And
so those that come in later may end up doing better. For example, I think they said Facebook was like the 7th social media app of the time and it ended up winning.
Definitely was. I think I remember going through like 3 or 4 crappier versions, which I thought were better. But the world saw Facebook as like, this is the one. I don't know what it is about it, but
I think it's just the beginnings of it. Like it was exclusive, and then everyone wanted to access an exclusive network, and then everybody did, and then that was it. Then it was over.
Over just like that.
Yeah.
But in crypto, it's a little more, I don't know, man. I feel like the first mover means so much more in crypto.
It does. In many respects, it does. I mean,
it's because of the tribalism is much like more significant, right? Because everybody's actually invested.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. SEC.
Yeah.
There's no investing going on at all.
Yeah.
Everybody's like actively participating.
And
you know,
in an ecosystem.
That's right. They're not just
of
users.
equal participants.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, this is gonna be good. So we have a whole new sector to keep our eyes on.
Yeah. So
add that to the list. So this is one we missed on our. Remember we made the things to look out for in 2023.
Oh, we did. So we didn't talk about like LayerZero stuff. It was just layer 2s.
Well, we said to look out for app chains, and maybe LayerZero did make the cut. Like because we're regarding like a Polkadot Cosmos as a LayerZero.
So there's another one called Layer 3, which is like app chains that spin up their own chains, right?
Yeah, or the ability to spin up app chains, like
yeah,
Polkadot.
there you go.
So
Yeah.
I think we did categorize Polkadot and Cosmos as Layer 3 or app chain enabling ecosystems, but this might fit into that bucket or be its own class of its own.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, definitely wasn't on our radar until just recently.
Right.
But yeah, it's more reason to pay attention to it, see what kind of new dApps emerge. You know, I think theoretically these should be some of the more valuable apps that
I feel like
are going to be built.
I think so too. I mean, why wouldn't you want to use a DEX that has the ability to swap between different chains?
I totally agree. That's hopefully the interface cleans up a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But it's early days. Everything's gonna be, you know, a little jank at first, but still.
That's how it starts.
Exactly. The utility will be there, and this feels like a very important primitive that will probably accelerate us to a DeFi 2.0 phase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with these new DEX.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what we should look into is Uniswap, because they got to be looking into like this type of technology too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to go quietly into the night, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's been LayerZero. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. Also, follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner, at MeadowZone.io, and at Roby AI, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.